Everybody's looking good. So you must
Feeling
feel
good.
good. All right, guys. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. You know who we are. We're going to jump right in. Mama's a little late. We're a little late. So let's not keep the people waiting. First and foremost, if you want to support the show and help Mama keep the street lights on, by all means, hit that Cash App scrolling at the bottom. Send Mama some cash so I can get a smoothie. I appreciate you much, all the people that hit me on the Cash App after I'm off air. Yesterday, someone took me up on my offer, James Oko, who I blocked many moons ago, okay? Paid to get back in. He paid his fee. Now he is free to comment and come up on the panel. Welcome back, James Oko. Anyone else who is blocked for whatever reason, pay the lady $10 to get you back on. Now, speaking of money, you can super chat me to support the show as well, and also to highlight your comment. We will pull it up. We welcome anyone to come up on the panel tonight. We really, really want you to come up on the panel tonight because the panel can handle it, right? We can handle this conversation, but we love new faces. We love new ideas. If you want to rebut, contradict, say that's a fucking lie, please feel free to come up. We will highlight the StreamYard link so you could come on up here. A lot of people don't like showing their faces, especially when they have very, very strong opinions. You can also hide behind your avatar. That'll cost you $20 tonight. If you want to come up for free, okay, then show your face. I think that's fair. I think that's fair on this Saturday night. I don't know about you, but I think that's fair, okay? You get to hang out with us as long as you like. $20 hiding behind an avatar. However, we like faces. So if you'd like to come up for free, show your face and we will pull you up here. Tonight is a spicy topic. If you caught last night's stream, the last hour was fucking fireworks, okay? That was a show, all right? We put on a show for you guys, all right? It was a great debate. Tonight it will be another great debate, but we can't do this without you. So please chat. Hold us down, okay? Look at the names on the screen next to everyone's picture here. This is where you follow us, okay? On social media, we're available everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, what have you. We have our own channels. We need your support, okay? Support, likes, and comments are currency in this world of YouTube. With that said, let's get this party started. Before I begin, George has put in a request to direct something to Haran, and I'd like to give him that microphone because that is what we do here. George, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Like your glasses, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
know, isn't that a cute look?
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Isn't that a nice look?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Thank you.
Well, I told Jen I was going to keep it 100 and to the point, so I want to get to it. Haran, I went back and looked at the video last night, especially our exchange right there at the end. And I'm ashamed and embarrassed about the way I treated you. I was totally disrespectful to you, and I'm sorry. And so, I mean, I just completely took it the wrong way. I'm not making any excuses for it. It's the kind of thing that, because I was thinking about where did that come from? It's the age-old thing about something happened in the past that I'm making you pay for right now. And that's not fair, and it's not right.
So. I appreciate it. I mean, I've gotten into bigger arguments with New York cabbies, man. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm from a place where, people have aggressive exchanges, and then we go out for pizza afterwards. It's not. No one died. No one died.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate
I accept your apology. And
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you being gracious. And I gotta tell you, man, you handled it pretty well when you reeled it back in, and I was like, damn, I don't think I could have done that if I was on the other end of that, if it was turned around.
No problem.
Yeah. So anyway. All right. Thank you, Jen, and everything. And anyone in the chat too, if y'all were upset about when I went off and everything, I apologize to you guys too. So I mean, anyway, thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Don't think I missed the fact that y'all over here took away moments from my apology to talk about Jen glasses. You know what I mean? Like, I can't have my shit for like 1 second without.
Them glasses are fly though. They fly.
Okay, do you see the side? How cute that is. The little. That's so cute. Okay. Back to you, Haran. Back to you, Haran. Hi, everybody. All right, guys. So hold on, because Star from the Star Report texted me, and when that man is on the line, everything stops. Okay, been in the bed. All right. So, all right, guys, let's get into this tonight. I do have a tiny bit of fluff I thought was interesting. We could breeze by it. I'll ask you a question about it. So, as you guys know, what his, let me get his, I'm bringing the fluff and I'm freaking forgetting the name. There we go. Danny Masterson from the 70s show. Am I right? Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. He has just been convicted and sentenced to 30 years to
To
live,
life.
convicted for 2 rapes. Yeah.
I
30
believe
years,
so.
30 years to life. The guy is locked away. Funny how the world works. Anyway, that's not the fluff. Believe it or not, that's not the fluff. That already happened. What happened was Ashton Kutcher and his wife Mila Kunis, both actors, their letters leaked. What letters? The letters that you write to the judge, right? For leniency, right? Those letters leaked, and now Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher are getting dragged, of course, via Instagram by a bunch of fans saying, "You rape apologist. How could you support this Danny guy? He got convicted." So Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are trying to put out the fire, basically saying, "Hey, it was just a character letter. His family asked us to write it, but we are not, you know what I mean, going against what the jury decided. Those letters were meant for the judge, not for public consumption," right? And I'll give you a little bit of the letters and then I'll ask you a question. I don't know if you guys have ever been positioned to write those letters or in a position to need those letters, but we know what those letters are for, right? So the judge could be like, "Oh, wow, this is a nice guy," or "This is a nice lady. All right. How about 20 years instead of 30?" So the letters, interestingly enough here, where are you? You had posted them. Okay, so this is, here's the letter. Says, "My name is Ashton Kutcher. I am an actor, an investor, philanthropist, and most importantly, a father. I met Danny Masterson when I was just 20 years old in 1998. He instantly became a friend, dedicated coworker, and role model to me, and has remained as such for 25 years. As a friend, Danny has been nothing but positive influence on me. He's an extraordinarily honest and intentional human being." Yeah, rape is intentional, I would say.
Yeah.
Over 25 years, I've digressed, so I'm just going to read the letter. Over 25-year relationship, I don't ever recall him lying to me. He's taught me about being direct and confronting issues in life and relationships head on, resolving them and moving forward. Danny is a person that is consistently there for you when you need him. We've traveled around the world together, raised our daughters together, and shared countless family moments. Not only is he a good friend to me, I've witnessed him be a good friend to others and the kind of brother others would be lucky to have. As a role model, Danny has consistently been an excellent one. I attribute not falling into typical Hollywood life of drugs directly to Danny. Anytime that we were to meet or interact with someone who was on drugs or did drugs, he made it clear that wouldn't be a good person to be friends with. And for me, that was an implication that if I were to do drugs, I don't know why he's stuck on drugs. This is a rape trial, but okay. He wouldn't want me to be friends. He wouldn't want them to be friends with me, which is something I never would want to risk or jeopardize. I'm grateful to him for that positive peer pressure. He also was an extraordinary, I'm sorry, this type is tiny. He also was set an extraordinary, what the fuck is that? Parlor and belligerent man entered, what? Okay, there was I'm sorry, guys. There was an incident where we were at a pizza parlor and a belligerent man entered who is berating his girlfriend. We had never met or seen these people before, but Danny was the first person to jump to the defense of this woman. It was an incident he didn't have to get involved in, but proactively chose to, because the way this man was behaving with this woman was not right. He has always treated people with decency, equality, and generosity. After 9/11, Danny was a huge advocate of support for the firefighters affected by the event, rallying his friends and coworkers to pitch in however they could. Danny has his daughter, had his daughter a year before mine. He set a standard of being a hands-on dad. We have spent countless hours together with our kids. He is among few people that I would trust to be alone with my son and my daughter. He's also a dedicated and loyal husband with unwavering commitment to his wife. We have spent hundreds of hours working together. Danny takes his job seriously. He is kind, courteous, hardworking. He's treated everyone from the grips to team masters, blah, 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 blah. We also have traveled around the world together. He said that shit already. He's being redundant. And the end is, while I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on 2 counts of rape by force, and the victims have a great desire for justice, I hope that my treatment to his character, my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing. So the man says, while I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on 2 counts of rape by force, and the victims have great desire for justice, I just hope that my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing after these women were violated. I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society, and having his daughter raised without a present father would be a travesty of injustice in and of itself. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Ashton Kutcher, they should have hired me. I could have wrote a better letter. If I was a judge, I would have been like, fuck off. What are you talking? Now you're throwing in the firefighters. What is this? Like, he rescued a woman from her boyfriend in a bar. I could have wrote a better letter. My question to you guys, the panel and the chat, is what say you? Would you write a character letter for your friend in this instance? Why or why not? Remember, there's no wrong answers. If this is your friend for 25 years and you've never had an ugly incident, yay or nay? Yes or no? Would you?
Not in this instance for me, because
25 years, Haran, 25 years. That's your homie, your ace boom coom. Y'all traveled the world together. You fucked women together. You spent money together. You cried on each other's shoulders. You almost quit and held each other up. You wouldn't write the letter?
Nah, because it's rape. Because it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know, like, things happen. Is there another side to the dude that I don't know? I mean, you can know somebody for 30 years, man, and one day you find out this dude is chopping up people and putting them in the freezer. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, no, man, we was in Acapulco last week. I didn't know we was chopping motherfuckers up and put them in the fridge. Oh, shit. So, you know, it's one of those situations. But this one, right, I don't know. Now, you know, you might have accidentally shot some people, or, you know, you robbed a bank or whatever. Anything outside of that, or some kid shit, you know what I mean? Then I'll be like, hey, judge, you know, come on. He's a hell of a guy. So when it comes to situations like that, I don't know, man.
Okay, so any other crime, rape is the deal breaker. Got it. Lily, what say you? Would you write, you know, your East home 25 years, 30 years, your friend, your homie?
Rape, rape and anything to do with children for me is my boundary. But and it goes to something I always say about people and their sexuality. I don't vouch for anyone's sexual life, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't care who it is. I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, unless you want some freak shit, I'm not in the room with my friends for every encounter that they have in life. So I don't know what they're into, and nor should I. Now, what I am going to say is I wouldn't put it past that Ashton is aware of some of the things that he likes and could be possibly, you know, so because I'm like, what would make him write that letter? Like, I don't know. It just seems, after being aware that he was convicted for it. I
Mm-hmm.
can see if it was prior to being the conviction. I can understand that because you're still like, that's my friend. I've had nothing but great experiences. I just don't see that happening. But then after getting all of the evidence, you're like, well, hold the fuck up now.
Well,
You
he
know,
said in their apology, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, in their apology, they said, "Hey, his parents wanted me to write the letter, so that's why I did it." So that's why they're claiming that they did it.
Okay, that's a
not,
cop out. That's a
yeah, I'm about to
coward
say that's
ass
not a good
fucking
enough.
cop
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Because you
Yeah.
should have just stood 10 toes down and been like, yo, that's my boy, blah, 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 25 years. He said the shit like 8 times in the goddamn fucking letter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should have still stood 10 toes down when the internet came for your fucking head with tiki torches. Don't sit here and talk about, well, you know, his mom. Like, get the fuck out of here. You see, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, come
And,
on.
and, and the thing is, me, you, and Haran have been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
We know there's tons of open secrets. Once they let you in the whip, you look around, you're like, oh shit, y'all just open. Like, this is what we doing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
like, come on.
Okay. Passing the mic. Welcome, number 9. Okay, George, no saint. What say you guys? Ace Boom Coon.
Let me interject here. For
Mm-hmm.
those who don't know who I am, I'm number 9. My good friend Star told me about this great program going on. Jen, I want to
Hi.
thank you for doing this, and it feels good to be here.
Okay.
If it isn't one thing I hate more than wetbacks, unruly niggers, it's the low life left wing snowflake cucks like George up in the corner. Let me.
Jeez.
I'm coming from you,
Wait a
snowflake.
minute.
No, I
Wait
come
a
from.
minute.
I'm coming from white liberals and low life snowflakes like you. See, I know cucks like you very well who look at blacks as inferior, but want to be a so-called voice for the downtrodden. The last thing a black person likes me or anybody else is a left-wing cuck sucking low life white liberal. You guys are the ones. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are the ones that are the stinking scourge of the earth who think black people need to be pacified and need to be helped in this society. And I don't know where you think that ideology is going to take you, but I don't need that kind of stuff. I'm coming for all the cucks and all the snowflakes and all the low life petty liberals. You were number 1 on my target, and I had to come on the show and address you.
I guess we asked for
Okay,
a
well,
black conservative. I guess we
okay,
got it.
welcome, number 9. I guess that's a great segue for tonight's topic.
Oh,
Forget
great
Ashton.
flag! Great flag in the background, Jen. Very patriotic. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so with that said, hold on one second. I guess we can segue from Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, unless George or No Saint, you guys have anything on that.
And speaking of the whole Ashton Kutcher, whatever that young man's name, he paid the price and is serving 30 years because of the Me Too anti-male movement. So 2 broads from 25, 30 years ago can come back and say somebody raped them without any DNA evidence, and this guy can get sent away for 30 years. Again, it's anti-men, anti-patriarchy, and the biggest enemy right now is straight white men. So he's feeling the backlash of that. So I guess he gets 30 years. Who knows if those broads were raped? They could have been groupies that were looking for a good time with an up-and-coming actor. We got no evidence about that, but hey, I guess it's show business, and you pay for it in the law.
Okay, and did these women, are they saying that they were sexually assaulted 30 years ago?
Well, I'm not sure, but what they're also saying is there's no evidence. There's no DNA evidence to prove that this man was there a rape kit given at the trial?
I'm not familiar with the evidence,
I
so
didn't
I can't confirm.
There was no
or
rape kit given. There was no evidence to show that these women were sexually assaulted. So how do you send a man to prison for 30 years without the evidence?
Interesting. See, I don't, again, I'm not up to speed with the case, so I am not sure what was said or wasn't said. I know that a jury decided he was guilty. So, okay, really quickly, pause 1 second. Thank you, Chef Shapino, for the super chat. Good to see you, sir. Chef Shapino says character statements are important because no one who cares for you to advocate for you speaks negative volumes volumes in your sentencing, double-edged sword. Very, very, very true. Good point. People that are doing the character statements like you, and they like you a lot, right? Great point. Okay, so let's jump right into this. I didn't get George, No Saint. Do you have anything to say about this case before we move forward?
No,
Again, I'm not privy to the evidence. Wish I was, but I can't speak to when the women accused him or what the evidence.
Come
was.
on, Cuck. Come on, Cuck. I want you to say something. Come on, Cuck boy.
this is great.
Come on,
I mean,
come
I don't
on,
know.
white
Have
boy.
I been
Say
transported to a No Saint or something?
Come on, white boy. Say
Wait
something.
a minute. Wait a minute.
Hold
Wait a
on,
minute. Wait a
hold
minute. Time out. I think I don't know if you're confusing the two gentlemen, but George is not a white liberal.
He's not. It's No Saint.
Well,
No
whoever
Saint's
the
the
white
white
liberal.
liberal.
Well, listen, number nine.
but No
First
Saint-
of all, let me get this out of the way. Number nine, big fan. I'm a big fan. I listen to you on Star all the time. Big fan.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. My whole thing is, and whoever it is, whatever it's directed at, white liberals are the worst possible thing that could happen right now. To tell someone like me, I don't know any better because blacks have been oppressed and so-called this and so-called that. That's what bothers me, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hey, number 9, let me just go in and say, I was about to tell you I loved your hat, man. You know, don't tread on me. I love it. You know, so when you come out, I was
gonna get you hung. I was gonna get you hung, George, but I decided to change my mind.
Okay.
I was gonna get you hung. Actually, I decided to change my mind.
All right, man, that's cool. But
George and hung are two things never said in the same.
And as to Lily, I'm a sexual libertarian, baby. So whatever freakism you got, we can let it on out.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so we still have to have this conversation. Okay, so let's just go topic by topic. First and foremost, the first question I want to ask is: do you think, chat? You may answer, panel, you can answer. Do you think it's fair or just or necessary for white people to speak on a black person's behalf? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's fair? Do you think they must? Because their ancestors are the ones that enslaved black people. What do you think? Should white people speak for black people, or it's not their place? They need to say nothing.
I've said that 1,000 times. They shouldn't.
No.
I've said it 1,000 times. I don't need a white person to explain my viewpoint and nor tell me what I need to in order to move forward. I have a clear vision of where I want to go. So I don't need them to get involved in my life at all. As a matter of fact, though, after we're finished asking these things, it's a great segue to get into the article. White liberals present themselves as less competent in interactions with African Americans. We'll discuss that article after we go around the room.
Okay, cool. Chef Shapino has given number 9 a shout out. Thank you for the super chat, Chef Shapino. Okay. Lily, No St. George, number 9. What do you guys feel? Should white people atone by speaking up for black people's rights?
Well, the question is it the Zog speaking up for black people's rights? Is it the Zionist platforms that put so-called white people to speak up for white people's rights? I'm sorry, black people's rights. Is it the Zionist? The question is it the Zionist? Or is it so-called white people? I think it's the Zionists. What say you?
Okay. No Saint, you want to grab that?
Oh, no, it didn't take long for the Jews to make their way up to the platform. No, listen, I think you should speak up for anybody's rights, everybody's rights. I don't think it should be speaking about just for black people's rights. I think if someone's rights are being violated or there's something wrong in society, that should be spoken upon no matter who it is. But what I'm going to say is, I mean, they think I'm way left. I don't think I'm that left. I'm just left.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How many blacks and Hispanics from the border have you let into your home and eat your food and sleep on your couch?
I'm married to.
No.
I'm
Since you
married
bleeding heart,
to a
liberals want to speak universally. We should all speak for all people. How many Latinos from the border? How many blacks? How many sub-Saharan Africans or West Indians have you allowed from that border to come spend the night at your home and eat your food and bathe in your house? Since you liberals are so benevolent.
Okay, so I pay taxes, right? And I have every right. And first of all, I think you're making a straw man because I don't think we're arguing. I don't even think you know my stance on a lot of things. But my taxes go. I have a right to say where I'd like my taxes to go as well as you do. And that's what we have representatives for, and that's what we have people in Congress to argue over. So
listen. Forget the Jew representative. Forget the nigger representative. I want to know how many wetbacks, how many sub-Saharan Africans, and how many East Indians have you allowed in your home that are sitting at that stinking border right now to be in your home because of your $8
I'm not at the border, first of all. So, I'm not at the border.
But you have this universalist talking point. We should speak for everyone.
No, I think we should listen. No, you're saying, you're bringing up who. I'm saying it doesn't matter what you look like. We should speak for people's rights, no matter if they're black, white,
it's always
Latino.
You see, it's always good to speak for people's rights until they move into your neighborhood. Then it's called the police.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
If you call the police on.
Zero. I don't. First of all, I don't know any. I don't know any.
Okay. Because you don't. Okay. Don't see.
No. I don't know any N words. I know black people, but I don't know any N words.
I know guys like you. Once the cameras are off, once you're at Thanksgiving dinner, you got a couple of beers in you.
No, you don't know. You don't know me, but you might know people. You think you know people.
No matter.
Okay. So going back to the question, does anyone else want to answer? George, Lily, how do you feel about white people speaking up for the rights of black people? And the reason why I say black people is because I noticed when we are speaking about liberals, they have the tendency to zone in and target on the rights of black people, though every person that's melanated is more than oppressed and oppressed. But for some reason, the liberals got a hard on for black people. And I'm just wondering why, when the immigrants are at the border and some of them are Haitian, some of them are Mexican, some of them are El Salvadorian. There are a lot of people that are oppressed by quote unquote, the man of this country. But for some reason, white liberals got a hard on for black people. You always hear them talking about reparations and affirmative. I'm just wondering why. Right. So I know that's two questions, but you can answer either or. Should white people speak up for black people? And why do white liberals seem to lean towards the rights of black people only? No Saint said you should speak up for everybody, but I see a lot of white liberals speaking up just for black people. So what's that about?
Hey, Lily, you're the hottest tranny I've seen in a long time, baby.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My issue is not so much the speaking up part.
Okay.
I mean, that I do have an issue with that, but my biggest issue is when they go as far to tell us about our experience, right? And I'm like, oh, well, hold on. What? Like, I need what? Like, it's like sometimes they'll go as far as to act as if they know more about the black experience than we do because they read a few good articles. They sat on, they watched the panel on YouTube and got some information that way. So it's just that's the part that kind of has me a little like, what are we doing here? Where is this coming from? Right? Like, what is the intention behind it? What is like that's the part that makes me not trusting. Because I can deal with the conservative any day. Because they're flat out, they say what they mean. It's like, listen, either we like you, we don't. This is why. Boom, right? But then with the liberals, it's always covert racism or passive aggressive white supremacy.
Passive aggressive white supremacy. That is a mouthful. George, what say you?
Yeah, generally speaking, I say white people should step aside and step to the back and let black people take charge. Now,
George, what you really want to say is you think white people should move as far away from niggers as possible and let those niggas kill each other. Hold on, and let those niggas kill each other in the hood.
Nah.
That's what you want to say.
No, that's not what I'm really. No,
come on.
It's not the being 100 here, I think that because of the reasons cited here is about it's borderline, you're patronizing. You can easily get into patronizing. So it's kind of like it's one of those things where, in a sense, if a white person was going to speak up, it's kind of like he needs to be signed off on by whoever, that he's credible, that he's or she is credible, but simply, I'll tell you a prime example. Right after the George Floyd incident, in the Senate, or I should say Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and I forgot who else, but they came up and stood, and there was a photograph of them wearing that scarf that's like
the Kente cloth.
I remember that. Yeah.
That
But
right
she couldn't
there,
get up off the floor.
That right there was a prime example of pandering to black people, and trying to show that they're with each other, and all that. So
you disagree, No Saint? You disagree?
No, I'm not disagreeing. It is, but I'm also saying it's so convenient to forget. It's all that people that are so blinded by what's going on. They always just focus on one side. Trump going to a black church, Trump holding up a Bible. That's not patronizing or pandering. They always point to the Democrats, but that's fine.
You shut your cracker mouth about Donald Trump now. You shut that cracker mouth about Donald Trump.
So wait a minute.
The great white hope.
Okay, really quickly, George, do you think that Trump going to black churches is patronizing and pandering?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. No Saint, he thinks it's patronizing and pandering.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad he came to the light.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? How about he let whites speak for black immigrants like West Indians and Africans, and let the FBAs who got 500 years of history speak for themselves? Case closed. See, problem solved.
No, he doesn't need to speak for the Jamaicans. They don't need to speak for the Jamaicans.
Okay, so let me ask this. There are a lot of black people that say that racism is a white person's problem, and white people are the ones that have to fix the racism and oppression. So do you think that you're confusing white people when you say you have to speak up because you made this bed, and then other black people are like, no, you don't speak for me? So what does a nice liberal to do?
There's no such thing as a nice fucking liberal. That's an oxymoron. Liberals are wolves in sheep's clothing. They pretend to have benevolence. They pretend to be your friend. But then again, they have an ulterior motive, because if you're not in their neighborhood, the safer it is. Oh, but they'll go to bat for you, all right. They'll speak up for you. They'll ask the government to throw you nigger pennies, but don't move into their neighborhoods and don't date their daughters. It's all a facade. You can fall for it if you want to, but it's all a stinking facade. Well, whether it's the liberal, whether it's the so-called moderate, but the question is, who's pulling all the strings? Who's pulling all the strings here?
So what do you think the ulterior motive is for the white liberal then, if it's a facade?
The ulterior motive is, who's the head of NBC Universal? Who's the head of many of the international banks? Who has the major positions in Washington? Who controls major positions in social media? That's the question. To answer the question about that, you'd have to answer the JQ. But who wants to answer the JQ? Nobody. So I guess we'll never come to a real answer, is it? Find the JQ, and then you'll have your answer. That's the question.
And just for the short yellow bus kids, what is the JQ?
The JQ, the Jewish question, man. It's the Jewish question.
Thank you so much. Question. Thank you so much for the super chat. Pocket full of De Niro beats says, for Jen and panel and y'all diverse debates and conversations, keeping it a hundo. Thank you so much. Salute to you, sir. All right, so let's get just right into this.
Jen, who are you trying to entice with that cleavage showing like that?
Everybody, baby.
That doesn't mean I
Everybody.
don't like it.
Everybody
That
watch
doesn't
it.
mean I don't like it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Are
Damn it.
you trying to? I can't
Okay.
concentrate.
Do your best. I believe in you, number 9. I believe in
It's
you.
nothing like a tasty Latino with a top
You
open.
damn right. Let the people know, number 9.
Jesus.
Damn it. That's what I
And
try to
fly
say every
glasses.
damn night. Okay.
And fly glasses.
Okay, so let's get into topics straight out the gate. Reparations, yay or nay, why or why not? No, Saint, you go first.
I think you're gonna make me go first, right?
Yeah.
Well, we spoke on this before, but I guess for the people who haven't missed it, I think that
Every show is new. You and Haran do this every time. I told y'all backstage. Every show is new. Pretend no one's ever seen it before.
Yeah. So my whole thing is this: handing out checks. No, I don't think you can hand out checks. I don't even know how you would do that. How you would figure out. But there are ways to invest, tax breaks. There are people to open up businesses. Education. There are ways you can do it. So it's not something simple, but I think I think it's owed. I think it's owed like any other thing. If someone takes something from you, if someone steals your bike and they're riding around on it, it doesn't matter if it's if it's something like an antique or something, your family's owed the antique. So I think that, but I don't think it could be like a cut check or anything like that. I don't think that would be productive.
What about the people that what about the people that say it's none of your business what they do with the money or how they get it? Like it's not your place to say. What do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess they have an argument for, they can certainly tell it to whoever's going to divvy it out. And if that's, if the majority of people think that if they vote that way or wherever way it's going to be settled, then that's, everybody's got a say, I imagine. But yeah.
Haran, reparations, yay or nay? Why or why not? Is it necessary at this point in 2023? No one's in shackles anymore.
The concept of reparations, if you want to say, yeah, the blacks are owed reparations and so on. Yeah, I guess you can say, but what you're getting and what you're going to get is two totally different things. You're not going to fucking get it. There's no, as I've said before, there's no consequence attached to not giving you the shit. So to sit here, unless you're willing to do whatever it takes to create some sort of consequence in order to get those reparations, just leave the subject alone. It's a dead fucking subject. It's a tired fucking subject.
So you're saying that black people should stop asking for reparations?
Essentially, yes, because you're not willing to do whatever you need to do to fucking get it.
So stop whining about it if you're not willing to spill blood for it.
Like either spill blood physically, financially, create some sort of consequence. Then stop asking for it. Because at the end of the day, the white man only, as I said last night, the white man only understands violence. Whether that's physical violence, financial violence, chemical violence, and so on and so forth. He only speaks in the language of violence and consequence. He has no heart for, as you can say, altruism. Altruism does not come naturally to the white heart.
Number 9, what say you, reparations, yay or nay? Why or why not?
Well, in the words of the great Larry Elder, reparations, no way. No way, all day. In other words, I really don't have a stake in the reparations game because my ancestry is not of a foundational Black American. My parents come from the Caribbean. So I really don't have a dog in this fight. But what I can say is from the foundational Black thought, intellectual thought people that I've listened to, like the Thomas Sowells and the late great Walter E. Williams and the Jason Rileys and the Larry Elders, who are of a foundational Black lineage, they feel that the reparations is a dead on arrival plan. Black people in America have had generations of opportunity to cultivate and develop what's theirs. Did they lose something in the process? That is something that can be argued. But the reparations deal will never lead to enough. When is enough enough? When does it end? Does it end at 1 million, 50 million, 100 million, a billion? Where does it stop? Where does it end? So, like I said, in the words of men like Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder, reparations will do no good for foundational blacks in America. So
no good at all.
I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel or a brighter day for any kind of reparations policy, if you ask me.
George, what do you think about reparations? Yay or nay? Why or why not?
For those who don't know, y'all already know my position on this on the panel, but I'll just go ahead and say it.
Thank you.
Is in principle, I do think in principle, I support it, but in the mechanics of how it works out, and like what a lot of people have already said here, good luck getting it. And then I talk about my own situation where, I'm 0.8% African, according to 23andMe, right? And, looking at me, you would never guess that, that was the case. But again, I talk about, how ridiculous that would be. But, I'll say this, though, if and when that ever happens, if they're stupid enough to allow somebody like me to get it, I'm smart enough to take it. Okay.
I'm right behind you, George, because people keep telling me I'm black too because Trump threw toilet. Okay, reparations, yay or nay, Lily? Why or why not?
Yeah, it's such a distraction and such a joke to me, right? First of all, the government reminds me of my dad, right? My dad's one of those people who's going to always cry broke, no matter if he's got $1 or $100 million in his pocket, right? So they running around crying broke right now anyway, right? Except, when it comes to Ukraine or whatever. But other than that, they're broke. I mean, they just gave Hawaii $700 for a whole tragedy that we all witnessed today. They're suffering today, right? Black people in like my generation, my mother's generation, I go back as far as my grandmother's generation, did not pick cotton, didn't, we had opportunities and things like that. And I know people hate this, but what they did was they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. They got themselves out. I know they did it. And so did I, right? And so, because I had those examples of people who did that, right? I saw it with my own eyes. So that's what I did. Now, and then I look at, okay, let's just say it's given. We already know what that looks like. We already know. I mean, people was getting them PPP loans left and right a couple of years ago, and we saw Gucci's sales went up, Mercedes sales went up, all of that. It was one of those easy come, easy go situations. So if it is given, which that I don't see it happening, but if it is given, then that is going to be really convoluted and confusing on how they're even going to give it. How is this supposed to work? What's the percentage of Black you're supposed to be? How many years back are we going? Like it's a lot going on. Like I just think
you sound like a Black conservative, Lily.
Oh, well, good. Thank you. I like to switch it up every now and then.
My question to Lily: do you like your neck kissed first before you receive the love, or how you like?
Listen, I'm a lady.
If I were to creep up behind you and kiss you on your neck, nice and slow, is that how you like it?
That's another string. That's the Freaky Friday string.
Yeah,
receive the love.
That's
no, you have to either slide in the DMs or the Gmail.
Gotcha.
Okay,
gotcha.
Brother Ish, you are here. You're just in time. You rolled in on reparations. Yay or nay? Why is it or not necessary at this point in 2023 when Black people have as much opportunity as white people do? What say you? Why are they still owed, specifically people that were not enslaved themselves? Is Brother Ish froze? Okay, he's frozen, looking like and he's looking like a Black Power meme too. That's what's funny.
Right.
Okay, we lost Ish in the connection. Okay, all right, yeah.
I mean, really, like, what would be an ideal form of reparations. If it just let's just play that game.
See, and Isha has that answer because he spoke about that before. Like he broke down exactly what Black people should get regarding reparations. So hopefully we'll get him
Air
to come back.
Jordans, rims, BBLs, Brazilian hair weaves.
He said BBLs.
A lot of BBLs. What's that?
There you go. That's
Boyd doing?
reparations. That's reparations for Negroes. You know.
Well, welcome, Mr. Justin. Welcome back, Brother Ish, if he can get it together there.
Evening, everybody.
Can't get right.
Hi. Have you been listening, Mr. Justin, or are you just coming in?
I'm just coming in. I was supporting a friend of mine on an IG live, so I
Okay,
apologize.
cool.
So what's the topic? What's going on?
No worries. We're doing black conservatives versus white liberals, and we have some Black conservative light and Black conservative on steroids on the panel. Brother
Nice.
Ish, did you hear the question?
I did hear the question. I'm on the road, so pardon me. Reparations is not, if I understand the question clearly, just so I'd step in.
I can clarify.
Reparations.
I can clarify.
Go
In
ahead.
what
Go ahead.
form?
so I can answer.
What form? There's an echo though. Hold on. I'll mute you while I ask, and then I'll unmute you. What form should reparations be given? That's the question.
Food stamps. EBT card.
No, sir. No, I wouldn't suggest we do anything like that. I would suggest that we set up free education through college, free healthcare, establishment of funding for manufacturing businesses, and land. Those are just to give it a real quick rough cut of that.
Okay, so that sounds fair. Now, what about Brother Ish? What about Black people who want reparations? They're like, don't fucking tell me what to do with the money. We want the cash. Because that's said a lot as well.
I think a cashing out should be presented as an option as well, but I think that there should be institutional scenarios set up for reparations.
So you
Or
think
with
cash,
reparations, I should say.
free? So cash, free schooling. What else?
Land.
Land, free schooling, cash.
Land like farmland, real estate, but farmland primarily because there is a history where farmland has been stolen from Black farmers. We're talking about also the ability to set up manufacturing businesses, not just I want to do a hair salon, but actual businesses that affect and benefit and stabilize a society of people.
Well, Ish, I don't.
Go ahead.
Ish, I don't know if you're aware, but like in recent times, like I would think it's like 75% of our farmland has been swindled from all farmers of all races. So if by that logic, then even they would be
But we're
eligible.
talking about no, we're talking about reparations for a historical event. We're not talking about an ongoing scenario of poor business practices with the government of the United States. We're talking about addressing an event that took place, a traumatic event that took place with Africans who were brought here. And in any other country, honestly, kidnapping people and selling them, that's an act of war. So if you really honestly want to issue that standpoint, we have to, if we really take a strong position with it collectively as a people, then we'll only address our issues and everyone else can address whatever issues they want to address in relationship to their history. But for our history, that's what I'm saying, that I'm suggesting we address.
Is it? I agree with the person in the chat. Doesn't look like Brother Ish look like Denzel in The Equalizer. That's hilarious.
Somebody said something
Good
in the
ones.
chat about the natives, about like we give the same thing the natives got. What did the natives get exactly, and how did it work for them? How are they faring out after they got their reparations.
That's a good question. Does anyone have that history? Does anyone know what the Native Americans got in reparations?
They got alcohol, casinos, and a whole lot of trinkets. How about that?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know much about the details, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, it doesn't seem all that great.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a very like prosperous sort of thing. It's just like, okay, here, take your thing and be quiet and go back in your corner.
I think from what I was told, this is some time ago, is
What the
that they were
fuck is
given
that?
like benefits for like education and stuff like that. But it's kind of like one of those things where they haven't leveraged it. And, because as, they talk about, there's a lot of alcoholism and stuff like that. But yeah, on the whole, the reparations for them has been dismal. The only thing you can argue that says, Lily, that's improved is like the casinos have been a major, major boon for them. And because I know here in Florida, they wouldn't allow legal gambling. But then, so the casinos said, hey, we'll go down here to the Seminole Reservation and set one up. And they tried to sue and all that. And basically, the court said, hey, look, you're technically in a foreign country and they can set it up. They're not subject to this. So they basically got that in there. So, yeah.
The Inuits up in Alaska get a monthly, I know they get a monthly check, but that was kind of the deal when Alaska was purchased from Russia. So I know they do there is a monthly check that goes to the natives in Alaska.
Do you think that Black people will be fine without reparations? Let's say reparations never. Do you think they'll be fine? Do you think reparations will change the state of the Black community significantly?
Fine.
No.
Define fine.
Are you fine right now, Mr. Justin? Are you fine? Like if I asked you, hey, how are you doing? You say fine. You know what I mean? Like, are you fine? Like you're fine. We're all fine right now. We're all fine right now. We're not. We don't
but
have.
Obviously,
won't change
I'm not
anything.
Black, so.
But
yeah, but no, you're asking me the feeling. Define fine. Whatever that feels like to you, fine. Do you think Black people will be fine?
If they're feeling the way I'm feeling, sure. Yeah.
Right. Because I don't personally know any Black people that are destitute, starving. I don't personally know. I'm not talking about homelessness, because a lot of people are homeless of all shapes and forms. I'm just saying the Black people I know, when I look to my left and my right and within my family, right, and within my network, none of them are broke, dying, destitute, in the street, desperate for money. So I know they're gonna be fine.
I'm saying the same thing, but I could say the same thing, but I also don't spend any time in really poor neighborhoods in New York. And I know they're there. I just don't go there. So I don't really know.
In other words, you keep away from niggers, wetbacks, and the downtrodden.
No, I just stick to my work and my girl and my family. That's it.
In other words, listen, I'll eat around them. I'll maybe shake hands with them, but don't bring the nigga asses to my neighborhood. I think that I don't think that's just for Black people. I wouldn't hang around a trailer park with meth heads either. Do you identify as Afro-Latina, Jen?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I knew it. You want a piece of that action too, don't you?
You damn
want
right.
A piece of the
Yes, I do. Yeah. They're already talking about Puerto Rico getting reparations, and it has nothing to do with what's going on with the Black people.
They don't. The Puerto Ricans don't want to be associated with Blacks. Listen,
some don't. Some don't because they're okay. No, some don't because they are not Black. I know that's hard to grasp, but
me no black.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of them aren't.
Me no black.
Yeah. And you can tell who's Black and who isn't. Like if I say I want reparations, you just said I want a piece of the action. So that means I'm not supposed to get a piece of the action because I'm Puerto Rican, right? Black people. Wait a minute. Black people are very sometimey with who's Black and who isn't, depending on what's what. If I took the check over a Black woman, then all of a sudden everybody would say I'm not Black, right?
I mean, it's already Black women already don't like you, Jen. So don't come for the check.
Okay. All right. So thank you for the super chat, House of Matrix. House of Matrix says, congratulations on all success, Jen. I just got back from Kuwait. I miss you guys. Lily Wright, Black people, Wilson with PPP loans. Okay.
There's something there. There's something there.
There was a good comment in there, or actually a question about calculations. Yeah, YouTube Press said, but do they calculate reparations on today's wages or from 1619? And I think just in general, it'd be a question of how that would be calculated. And like, what's the limit? Like,
Right.
is there a cap, or is it just like, let's just go into the billions and hundreds of billions? Like what,
there are insurance companies, businesses, banks that were around that profited off of slavery. They should definitely be held liable because there's a direct connection to that. So those guys should definitely be held liable. Now, as far as like, how do you break it down? Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I mean, I don't know how you break it.
Okay, let's talk about what's in your pay grade. Define who runs those banks. Tell us who runs those banks. Who runs those banks?
You can say it. I'm not going to say it.
No, you can say it. Who runs those banks?
Depends on what bank. I would have to look it up, to be honest with you. No, it does. It depends.
Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs.
I'd have to look it up, to be honest.
Who runs those banks?
I would have to look it up.
I know that.
Well, if you know, I'm not fixated on that. I'm not fixated on who's running the banks and who's running, I'm not. No, I mean, I could say, listen, I could say, I can say what you want me to say. To be honest, I would have. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to look up each individual bank. Yeah, I don't really know.
All of a sudden, a white boy don't know. Listen, you tell us who runs the goddamn banks. We know you know, so you just tell us.
Do you know?
I'm sticking to my answer.
You know?
I don't know exactly. Now, are you asking me? Okay, go ahead.
Number 9, do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just a dumb nigga with a hat. I want the white boy to tell me who run the banks, the international banks, who's at the head of the table. And then we can trickle on down and find out the truth, where it comes from. Who runs the banks? Okay, mum's the word. Typical.
No, I answered. I don't know. No, I don't know.
I'll answer part of his question. Number 9, I think Goldman Sachs, I think I know where you're going with this, is that I think historically it has been Jewish people who run that particular bank.
Wow.
But I'm going to tell you this. Let me just say this. I do not believe that they control the world. I do not believe that, that the whole thing about the elders of Zion and all that bullshit, so, I denounce that, any kind of anti-Semitic stuff now.
I was waiting for that A word. What is anti-Semitic? What does that even mean?
Anti-Semitic is like making, calling Jews bloodsuckers, calling them kikes, calling them Heine,
I never called anybody anything. I'm just asking. Yeah. I'm talking about power. Who has power in certain arenas? Who has power in certain things? If you say
I just want to get clarification. Are we talking about the guys?
I'm trying to find out too. Why are you trying to point out who has power? And in reference to what? Okay, they have power. Now, what does that mean?
Well, when you have power, in essence, there's a lot of control that comes with power. And whoever has control controls the tide of the circumstance and the argument, is what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Number 9, Chase Bank was started by the Rockefeller family. They're not Jewish. Okay.
No, they're not.
And they funded Hitler. Funded Hitler. They funded World War II. For the Nazis and the Allies on both sides of it. George Bush's grandfather was involved with a company that dealt with that. So my point, where I'm trying to make the point is that it's not just one set of people that's done this. Put it this way: where there's a dollar to be made, be made, I don't care what their ethnicity is, they're going to do it. And I don't care who's running the banks today or tomorrow. If there's a dollar to be made, they're going to do it. So, I just, there's all kinds of areas in life where certain ethnicities kind of dominate, quote unquote, and it may be for reasons of, all kinds of different reasons. But, it's just the way this is kind of, shook out, at least in this in this country. I do know this: the real power in this country is the Federal Reserve Bank. But this is going way off topic. And,
so let me ask number 9 a question. Number 9, what do you say to people that call you a coon and a bootlicker, and you bend over for the white man and take it in the ass from the white man because you want white? I didn't finish my question. And you bend over and take it in the ass for the white man because you want their acceptance, you want white allegiance. What do you say when someone says that to you, calls you a coon and whatnot?
Well, I think they're the biggest buffoon and the biggest coon of all. I never call for anybody's acceptance, and I never call for a pat on the back. I'm just able to see things for what they are, and most white boys don't even like me. So I'm not looking for anybody's acceptance. I'm a man with no country, but I do love the essence of what this country is about. And that's what I stand for. I have no friends and I have no real allegiances. I shoot from the hip and I call it like I see it. So people will say things, but that doesn't mean it's valid.
Does that mean everybody? Like everybody says things doesn't mean they're valid?
Well, that goes for those who want to cast aspersions and say things that they're not aware of the information that I have. The information that I give is information. Now, if you don't like it, you can title me with whatever name you want, but it's still the information. The information will not change.
Brother Ish, are you still with us?
I have a quick question for number 9. Number 9, how should I put this? In what way do you think that the Jews are infringing on the progression of blacks? Can you give examples, like per se, in what, either on a micro level or on a macro level?
Well, let's start with the media. Look at what we see when we look at television shows, when we look at films. We look at this constant agitation in shows like, these woke shows and things of oppression and this inferiority complex that they push in their psychological operations in their television shows and in their movies. Let's talk about many political figures who happen to be of the Jewish lineage, who have to look at certain groups as being targeted, when if you look at the criminal database and you look at the violent crimes in America, it kind of outweighs the narrative that they're trying to give. There's this constant lurking around with people who have power, who just so happen to be Jewish, that push this out there. And then they say, oh no, we're just there for social justice purposes. We're just there to be politically right. We're just there to put a message out in the media. It's subversive, and it's done in a very unique way, and you have to catch it. That's why I think that power could be so damaging.
Well, individually speaking, I come from an extremely poor background. I used to live in Jamaica, in very dirt poor areas of Jamaica. When we came over here, I was actually born here, but we went back to Jamaica. When we came over here, we were still dirt poor. However, through hard work and so on and so forth or whatever, it was instilled in me to not view anyone as superior to me. I was not inferior to anyone. The only person that could beat me is me. That was my conditioning. I never thought for a second that whoever was in some degree in power or in control on a legislative level could actually stop me from actually accomplishing my goals. Now here I am, 20 years as a software engineer, mostly self-taught musician, so on and so forth or whatever. The point here I'm making is that the ideas of the Jews controlling everything, for me personally, they've never infringed on my bag. They continue to never infringe on my bag. I'm fine. A number of brothers that I know are fine. So I fail to understand what's this absolute power that they have over the community.
Well, if you look at it like this, it's not necessarily infringing on one person, but that doesn't mean that power doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's not there just because you've never felt it, and just because the people you've known have never felt it. That doesn't mean control has to come from somewhere, somehow. It has to be some kind of an ability to control things. And you have to look at, how does a very small group maintain such major positions in politics and media and banking and other social and economic aspects. You have to ask yourself, how does that work that way? Okay, it could be coincidence, but there's a lot of influence that comes along with it. If you go back to World War II, and if you go back to institutions like the ideologues that came from the Frankfurt Institute, that left World War II and came to the United States in the 1960s, that pushed this so-called progressivism, like the feminist movement and the so-called hierarchy of the civil rights movement. Everybody's been hiding in the wings, and if you look at it, there's some sort of Jewish power behind these things. The so-called woke movements of today, CRT, things of that nature. If you look behind them, Black Lives Matter, there's a control system behind these organizations and these ideologies. LGBTQ organizations, if you look at the helm, who's in charge of those things? Subtly, but there's always that power there. So it does make a difference.
Number 9, that sounds like liberal talking points. It almost sounds like a victim of the Jewish community. That's what it sounds like. So are you a staunch conservative, or are you somewhat a liberal? Because now you're leaning into, look at what those mean Jewish people doing to us with all that power. What side are you on?
No, I wouldn't call it a liberal ideology. I'm just calling it as if there are people in positions that are there that pretend that they're not, and that make certain things go the way they go. I'm not saying I've been victimized. I'm saying that we have to look at where the power is and who has it, and how the tide can change at any given moment.
But then what's the difference? But then what's the difference between your talking points just now and a Black person saying, "I've been redlined. Our schools are fucked up. They're giving us back." What's the difference? You sound exactly like the Black people who want reparations.
It's completely different, because one person is saying, "I can't because of this, and I can't because of that." I'm talking about absolute power. I'm talking about who's there in certain positions that can turn the tide at any given time. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't say I couldn't do this, and I didn't say I couldn't do that. Those are two different things. You're talking about people who say, "Oh, well, we're oppressed, and we can't do this, and we can never do that, and we can never do this." I'm talking about the absolute power structure and how it's controlled and how it's conceived for you to think that some other group has it when there's another group that really does control it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's my thing. Life is player versus player, and it really whatever issues that people have with the Jews or whomever has a degree of legislative power. Their success is most likely indicative of the fact that they were willing to do something that another group didn't have the stomach to do. So maybe a lot of times Black people have to understand or ask themselves, are white people in control because they were just willing to do or go farther than you? Because it's like this, man. If there's $1 million on the ground and it's every man for himself, are you willing to be the one who walks out the door with the million and there's 5 people there? What are you willing to do? You willing to kill everybody, or are you going to have a bleeding heart? If you're going to have a bleeding heart, you're going to most likely be one of the ones that are killed. So my thing is this. My thing is this is the one thing I want to wrap this up right here, or this whole thing. Motherfuckers are mad at the Jews because they're not the Jews. That's it. Why doesn't anybody just fucking say it? No, you're mad at the Jews because you're not in control.
I say that a lot.
That's some shit that's like some shit at everybody's job. Everybody hates their boss because they're not the boss. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's simple. It's
okay, I'm getting really quickly. Your mics are shit. Your mics, please mute your mic until you speak. Y'all are killing me in the headphones. Your mics are shit. Por Dios. Before we move on to the next thing, Ish, I wanted to ask you regarding are you with us? Can you hear?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Regarding reparations, let's say, okay, the government, them, they, the people, the man, they say, you're not getting reparations. We mulled it over. We're moving on. Do what you got to do. What happens then? What does that look like?
What are the consequences?
I mean, I would say that, if we're not going to get reparations, and they're telling us definitively that they're not going to take accountability and responsibility for a historical act that has affected millions and millions and millions and billions of lives, to say the least, then I think that we should definitely economically divest out of this country. I think that we should fall into a lack of participation where, in a more organized manner, in the same way that you had the summer bus boycotts. I believe that we should withdraw our involvement in this country to some degree.
Do you
What
think?
that
I mean,
actually
that
looks
sounds.
like? I mean, you're asking me something really off the cuff, but
And I'm sure you've thought about this before. Ish. Off the cuff, really. This.
I would say also. But with that point, I would also say that that I would say logically, before we go into other states.
Okay, but speaking, because I love a good Disney film. I really, really do. Okay, my favorite movie is Legend, Tom Cruise. Okay, yay, the devil guy. I love a good fantasy. But do you think that's even realistic when Black people collectively has showed they cannot boycott a fucking thing past a couple months? Everybody's back watching football. Okay, everybody's back, buying designer
Gucci.
clothes. Is it really realistic? Don't you think that the large majority of the 12-13% of Black Americans are quite comfy and not uncomfortable enough to wage war, be it by boycott or spilling blood in this country? I keep hearing this rebellion that's supposed to happen or the revolution will not be televised, right? But I think it's archaic thought because Black people are very comfortable, aka fine, where they are. I see people in disenfranchised neighborhoods with $200 sneakers on their feet. So you're asking those people to boycott something when they can still go into a sneaker store and afford $200 sneakers. How are you going to get people that comfortable to boycott anything and go anywhere? It's not even realistic.
It's not.
How is that conversation realistic to you? I don't wear $200 sneakers.
I mean, shit.
I live in a nice neighborhood.
Remember a couple years ago, Gucci and Prada was playing in our face with the monkey, the blackface monkeys on designs on their stuff, and then a couple of the rappers, T.I. being one of them, came out and was like, this is horrible. We need to boycott Gucci and Prada for 3 months. And then I'm like, three months? Well,
yeah.
I was really confused. I was like, is this man serious right now? Like, they straight playing in your face, and you can only stay away for 3 months. Like, I don't get it. So yeah, these are the people that we're talking about. They're supposed to boycott something. I don't see it happening.
Well, and labels that big aren't really affected by that, because they've got different tiers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like Lily, I think you made a video about that with the with the branding on the clothes and the branding that's not on the clothes.
Right.
The clothes that don't have the branding, that's like a huge part of their market, and like they're not worried about losing that end of their market
at all.
No.
Right.
At all.
As a matter of fact, they really don't want that end of the market really wearing their shit, but that's a whole nother discussion.
But they do, but they do use them for billboards. They're literally walking billboards. They're no different than the people in Vegas on the strip who walk with that big sign on their back as a backpack. They're no different.
So that's why they, like, to Justin's point, that's why they created that specific niche for that demographic, because people of another demographic is not going to walk around looking like a billboard.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone's patience tonight, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out.
I was listening to what was the guy's name? Number 9. About his talking points and okay, so like let's say, let's say he's right, because it seems like he's from this position of like Jews run everything. Right. Okay, and let's say that's the case. Then let's say reparations go through in whatever form. Okay. It's not going to change the thing that he was talking about.
Right.
It's not like the CEOs of Goldman Sachs would be like, all right, you know what? I see the history of our bank and like what's been going on. You know, I'm going to step down. We're going to close our doors, or we're going to turn the keys over to somebody else. Like that's not going to happen. It isn't. Like the power likes to remain in power, and they do everything possible, like including sedating the masses.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, like, so if it does come to something like a cash out or giving land, it's just going to be a means of sedation, right? Like, okay, all right, fine, here you go. Now go do your thing and be quiet while I get busy, you know, doing really big shit, but controlling the world.
Right, but that's not race specific. I bring up
no,
Zeus,
but just
right,
of course not. But
right. I
know,
bring
power
up
is power.
Right. I bring up the Zeus Network. I bring up Mona Scott Young because these are millionaires close to billionaires in power. And what they do is they put out the most heinous Black behavioral content I have ever seen. And these are two Black people. And what they do every now and then when they get people complaining, they'll do some charity work, or they'll put out an episode or two of something poignant and interesting. And then they bombard you with the garbage again. So it's just another sign of, no, they're not Jewish, they are Black. But even they, you know, in power, show they don't give a fuck about the masses, but they will sedate when necessary. And then you can shut the fuck up. Here's a little something to make y'all feel good. And then we're going back to our regularly scheduled program. So, you know, when people say, well, it's the Jews run everything. Yeah. Okay. What are you going to do about it? I just don't think that the point of view that Black people have in this country is realistic because they're only 13% of the population as it is. They're not a monolith. Some Black people are very comfortable. They're like, I'm watching my football. I can pay my bills. I don't give a fuck about what y'all complaining over there. They're not even including the millionaires who say out their own mouth, like, you know, I'm not Black. I am not Black. You know, I'm Lil Wayne. What's the other girl's name? Raven Simone. Don't call me Black. You know, they're so diverse, right? They're not a monolith. There's not this 12% of Black people in America that's going to rebel and boycott. It's not happening. And that's why I say it's unrealistic. Not because they don't have the power to cripple, but because they will not. They are not a monolith. So it's an impossibility. When people think Black community, they think there's 13% of us. And then you got to cut that down with people who don't give a fuck about the other people. You got to cut that down to people who have married or dating outside of the race. You got to cut that down to people who are conservatives. You got to cut it down and cut it down.
A lot of millionaires.
There's a lot of millionaires who can't relate. And that takes us to the next thing I wanted to talk about, Black wealth. Also, that comment that was just up, Lily told me to grab. And I took it down. I hate the narrative that us Black Americans are crying and begging. We represent every tax bracket that exists, like every other group. When we think about Black wealth, automatically we think of, well, look, we tried Tulsa. That's like the go-to. That's like Tulsa. It's like those three men that you learn about in history, right? You learn about Malcolm X, you learn about Martin Luther King, you learn about Marcus Garvey, and that's why we're gonna give you. And happy Black History Month. When we talk about Black wealth, we automatically, well, Tulsa. Look what happened in Tulsa. We tried in Tulsa. It was Tulsa. Remember Tulsa? Yes, we remember Tulsa. But since Tulsa, there have been a plethora of Black millionaires and billionaires who rose up. So Black wealth does exist. Tulsa did not obliterate Black wealth. It did obliterate the Black wealth during that time in that town. However, since then, there's been a rise of Black millionaires and billionaires and under millionaires, Black families that are doing extremely well. Okay? Very, very well. So when you look at that and you know, it begs the question, well, you know, we tried to get rich and look what happened to us. Then what do you say of the millionaires and billionaires and Black families that are doing very well? Why do people think that Tulsa obliterated Black wealth? Brother Ish, what say you?
I'm here. Sorry. I got to hit the button periodically because I mute the phone. So pardon me. Let me say this in relationship to a couple points made, and then I'll get back to your question if I may. The issue is not about eliminating Jewish prosperity and having, you know, the CEOs from Goldman Sachs, you know, rescind power. The issue is reparations is designed to change the trajectory that is currently the condition of Black people in this country. And that's the important aspect to consider. establishing black banks, establishing a better black educational system, establishing, better healthcare. Those are the things that the intention for reparations is for. And it's not just limited to just foundational Black Americans, because this is a new construct. It's because the world was involved in participating in the transatlantic slave trade. So many governments and industries are accountable for this act. So money is going to be spread across the Caribbean, different aspects of Africa, and there are plans set forth by foundational Black Americans to deal with the African diaspora. So going back to your question, Jen, just so I understand it clearly, if you could just reiterate it so I answer it properly.
I didn't even know. That's why you should have just answered the question when I asked it. You went way back to what we were talking about. Does anybody remember what I asked about Black wealth specifically? Anybody remember what I said was, when we think about Black wealth and what's stopping people from Black wealth, everyone always reverts back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We tried to be rich. Look what they did. They bombed us. So we tried to be rich. Look at Rosewood. Oh my God, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Since Tulsa, there have been a plethora of millionaires and billionaires who are Black, families that are doing extremely well and don't give a damn about a boycott. Let me mute his mic. And don't give a damn about a boycott. What say you about the millionaires and billionaires and families that are doing very well and have generational wealth since Tulsa? Because I'm telling you, the retort is usually, we tried to get wealth, then look what happened. We got bombed. That's usually the go-to. I'm saying, what say you to the people who are saying we can't get Black wealth? Meanwhile, Black people are getting wealthy every single day. That is my question. Please don't go back to something we spoke about 30 minutes ago, because we'll lose this point right here.
I'd say that it's great that there are individuals that have proven success and the ability and proficiency of a people, but there's still accountability for past actions, and there's still institutions that need to be repaired. Ergo, the word reparations.
So do you really believe that reparations would change the trajectory of our community, like just based on evidence from other groups, like let's just say the natives that got reparations? Did it change the trajectory of the natives like as a whole? Because a lot of them are still not in a good place. It probably maybe a little worse aside from the casinos, other than that, I mean, the alcoholism rate is still horrible. If you've ever seen any of the reservations and things like that, I mean, the conditions on reservations are horrible. Just so many different things. So how do you really, because the trajectory is going to come from here, from the mind.
Absolutely. But I would say this in relationship to that when you're talking about the Native Americans, there's also a degree of treaties that restricts them from having the ability to even mine the mineral wealth that's below their feet. So the aspects to their situation that has its specific nuances that affect partially their ability. There was, periods of time where they've been stripped of that their educational and their cultural systems were destroyed. So, when you talk about the difficulties that exist, hold on, baby. I'll turn it off. Hold on. The difficulty that exists with the Native American community has a lot more nuances to it.
Anyone else want to speak on Black wealth?
I mean, I'll just say this. I was looking it up. So this is just throwing it out there that 8% of the millionaires in the U.S. are Black, 8% are Asian, 6.8% are Latino, non-white Latino, and 76% are white of all the millionaires. And I think there's like 22 million. I want to say there's 22 million millionaires or something in the U.S.
So we are on par with everyone except the ones that are in charge.
Yeah, there are 22 million millionaires in the U.S. So 8% of 40 million, I guess. Is that right? About 40 million, 44 million.
I'm not sure, but the percentages is very telling that you just read. So,
Well, what?
ooh, okay, the percentages that you just read were pretty telling because it sounds like we are in the game without the reparations. If I mean, that's what I heard.
Sounds like.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
and
like
I'm
over
wondering,
3 million people are millionaires. So
is that going to come from just the U.S.? Because like Portugal, Britain, Spain, France,
No, that's just the
Netherlands,
U.S.
Denmark, like they were all involved in the transatlantic slave trade.
That's
So
true.
are all those countries going to be held accountable as well?
I've mentioned that in past streams that they do need to be held accountable,
right?
As well.
Well, they're going to have to drag them in and get some money from somewhere if this happens because America crying broke. They're going to drag in everybody. Yeah, you did it too. Bitch, you was there. Uh-huh. Like, so that's the only way this goes.
Bitch, you was there.
Talking about black wealth, Lily, one thing it just hit me as we were talking about this. Do y'all know who the highest black person on YouTube? What's their biggest subs? I mean, because I'm thinking there's probably people who are going to make some pretty good money off of this.
Yeah. There's a black guy. I think he's the highest. It's a black gentleman. He's a gamer, if I'm not mistaken. And
that sounds about right.
He makes a ton of money. He's got millions and millions and millions of followers. Yeah.
I can tell you this is y'all know who the lead attorney is.
I don't know
his financials. He disclosed them one time, and he's got like 300,000 subs now. Anyway, he's making like north of $1 million a year easily in terms of like what he gets for subs and the live streams, and then he sells a course and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I mean. It's just, I know, just
how much of it did he get getting fucked in the ass though? That's what I want to know. What percentage did he make getting fucked in the ass?
He didn't talk about that. But
okay. That's the show I want to see.
Yeah.
That's the stream I want to see.
Yeah. But anyway, just putting him aside. But that's what I mean is that there's like people on his channel who come up and evidently have done pretty well too. So we're talking about the whole grand scheme of things. I mean, YouTube might be just a really good vehicle for that for some of them they're really good.
That's it. Look at George giving black people ideas. Get your money, get a YouTube channel, get your damn millions up. Yeah, black people.
I think you said that before me, though. I think you said that before me, though. Dan.
Yes, I said everyone should. I said everyone start a damn YouTube channel. There's money here. Okay, going back to black wealth, I understand what Brother Ish is saying. I really do. The people, they still have to atone. But I just think there's such I'm sorry. Unfortunately, shit happens, and I know it sounds terrible. It really, really does. But I think that the whole slave trade is so unique and so crazy. And like, you guys have reiterated, so many other countries were involved, and it's something that's going. I wouldn't be surprised if it take dozens of decades to figure out and then cut the check. And then by the time you cut the check, it's like, are people prepared to receive that money or that land, or are they going to blow it? Like, what's the bigger issue, right? Is it that they need these reparations, or that the mindset has to change? Because we cannot ignore, look at how black people are showcased in mainstream media. Everybody's twerking and bent over and rubbing on their pussy and topless, you know what I mean? The rappers, and that's whether you like it or not, that's mainstream media for the black community. That's what it is. You don't like it, take it up with the people that own the networks, take it up with the music labels, take it up with the artists themselves, take it up with them. But that is the image with the consumers. Like, everybody has their hand in this horrible cesspool of a pot. So it's like, I just don't see, it's like, honestly, it's like your child being on drugs and you just giving them money because you're like, oh, but I brought you in this world, so let me just keep taking care of you. The kid will eventually overdose and die, or do much, much, much worse. That's how I see it.
How many of y'all know? How many of y'all know black people who run through the damn income tax check within a week?
Shit.
Ooh. This not even. You know what? I got a story about that.
So what do you think is going to happen with a goddamn reparations?
Right.
Well,
Listen,
that's what I was thinking.
Well,
I think
Sarah
it's like
said-
Easy come, easy go. Easy come, easy go.
Well, look, Sarah C says, please pay those reparations. I'm ready to get rich and buy weed, Hennessy, grape soda, and Nike stocks. There you go.
Right.
Listen, before this passes, I swear I'm looking at George's picture right there, and I feel like I'm
Yes.
looking at the Mormon outside of my window. Like I'm not answering this door.
I'm not home. I'm not home.
Not the
Keep
Mormon.
yelling through the door. Nobody's home.
Okay, YouTube Press, thank you for the super chat. YouTube Press says, who's seen Sukiyana twerking in a diaper tonight? I haven't had the privilege, but you know, she's another example of mainstream media and how Black people are showcased.
I'm happy to say that I've never seen Sukiyana twerk, period.
Be very happy. She's very unsightly human being. I can't even call her a woman. Very unsightly.
I think if there is
That's called
some
self-preservation.
sort of like monetary form of reparations, I think some sort of financial literacy like course or something like that, just some sort of like easy access, be it online or courses you could take at like some sort of center or a community college or a university, something like that.
Do you mean as a requirement? Do you mean as a requirement to get reparations?
No, I think it should be given. I don't think it should be required.
Free.
Because that's like saying like we want you to think like this. And I think it should be offered. I don't think it should be forced. You know, like if somebody wants to blow their money, they're gonna blow their money. But I think the opportunity should be presented to say, hey, if you want to learn about how to invest this money so that you can turn it over in a few years, then this is the information you need.
The problem with that, Mr. Justin, is all of those programs are available for free already.
Right.
Sure.
Now.
And some people may not even realize that or think about it or consider it
or care.
I think it's care, because if I ask one of these same guys what are the stats of their favorite football player, they're running numbers to me in years and dates and situations and what college they came from and who they played for 3 years. It's there. They have the information. They're just not interested. They can tell me which. When I look at Jordans, they all look the same to me, and I swear someone will argue with me and say, "No, that one was released on this year and that one was it, and that's not," and I'm like, they all look the fucking same. It's the same fucking, no, these are the 23s and those are the dunks, the blah, blah. And I'm like, what? So
and it costs less than $2. It costs less than $2
so do they want the information?
I don't know. I'm just saying, I think if it is handed out, that it should include something along the lines of like learning about financial literacy.
Understandable. Please hit that like for me. Please hit that like for me. All you people that are lurking, if you're new here, welcome, baby. Where you been? Buckle up. It gets bumpy here. You're also welcome to come up on the panel. If you disagree with anything anybody said tonight on the panel, feel free to come up. Don't be scared. Mama take care of you, okay? Come on up. Go ahead, no saying.
I think if reparations is a thing and it actually happened, the first thing that anyone should do is get a financial advisor. It's the first thing. That won't happen, though.
No.
That won't happen.
I was about to say, that sounds hella complicated. Like, who the fuck? What do you mean the first thing? Gucci is the first thing.
I think the problem in general, it's not just reparations. I think many people, especially if you're getting, like when we got the stimulus checks, are looking to turn that over really fast, and investing is a long-term deal. And I just don't think people have, many people don't have the patience to invest.
That's also not race specific. That's also not race. You give the average person with no money. I know friends personally, $1 million lawsuit, gone back with their mother. That is the nature of the human being who is not a hustler. That's just the nature. That's not race specific. That is just the nature. Easy come, easy go, like Lily said. Yeah. If you don't work for something, you say, here you go, $50,000. Oh shit. But I know friends personally. I'm like, oh shit, you got $1 million in that lawsuit, and they're living large for like a year or two, and the money is gone. I've seen it with their eyes. That's what I'm saying. It's not realistic. Thank you, everyone who's here from the Star Report. Salute, troll babies. I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's not realistic. I don't.
And you know those retailers, they're gonna be like rubbing their palms together. They're like, oh boy. If there was a cash reparations that was sent out, and after everything's processed, they're like, all right, guys, let's saddle up, everybody, all hands on deck, because we're gonna have a very busy season.
What's gonna happen is as soon as they find out them checks were cut, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada, Balenciaga, Margiela, they're all gonna up their marketing to urban markets.
Well, I mean, that's
this
it.
is my
That's it.
thing.
I wouldn't be
For people who
surprised.
don't like white people so much, we rush to give them my money. That shit
Well,
is so weird to me.
That's if they don't, if Brother Polite's not trying to sell them the latest cryptocurrency or whatever, that they're gonna
that's gonna happen too.
And scam them out of their money, or some kind of get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
I
want to prove this point. See, Sleepless Society said we are out here investing now without reparations. A lot will definitely flip the money. Come on. Yes, you just proved our point. The ones who are doing it now will continue to do it.
Yeah.
Because that is already where their mindset is at. If their mindset is not there, exactly. If their mindset is not there, when they get that money, they will not do it because it's going to boil down to the mindset at the end of the day. If either your mind is set there or it's on being a consumer or your mind is set on being an investor.
Oh, okay. I got the perfect thing. Here's what they do when they get their money is that they go find a Chinese accountant because they know how to do math, like No Saint was saying the other night, and then go to Goldman Sachs because that's the Jews run the whole show, and they're going to turn them $1. So that's what they need to do. There you go. There's my solution.
Holy shit! Now, George, what about Black people who say you don't speak on them? Who are you to speak on how they're going to spend their money?
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, I told. Okay, they can do what they want. Yeah.
I'll make this little exception and take that advice if I ever came across a huge pound of fucking money.
Yeah, and you would be surprised. It's kind of interesting when we were talking about who controls the money. Is that it really? This is not the place to get into it, but central banking. That's who controls the economy. That's who actually controls everything. It's not one. It's not the Jews, and it's not this person over here. It's not the Rothschilds over in France. It's a very nuanced, complex system that they provide.
Yes.
Okay, what do we think about affirmative action? Still necessary or very unnecessary? 2023.
Good intentions, but bad results.
Please expound.
In other words, it comes from a very genuine, based on a very real problem. Okay. And that in terms of like systemic, this is where I'm going to say, I believe in some parts of systemic racism. There were institutions out there that actually set up things to keep Black people out of professions and stuff like that. No Saint, you probably agree with me here. One of the two biggest places are the police departments and the fire departments. Okay. They had set up tests to keep Black people out and stuff like that. But then the problem is that in certain cases where we're talking about, we'll just pick medical school, for example, when we're doing admissions into like medical school, is that if you take it's letting in people who otherwise may not be able, who just all things being equal, they may not be able to say if they're trying to go to Harvard when they need to go to UNF, where I graduated from. Harvard's a much more advanced school. They get in there, they bomb out in Harvard. Some do make it, but a lot don't. It just kind of, that's what I mean by good intentions but bad results. It's just there's plenty of people out there. Clarence Thomas was one of them. He benefited by affirmative action, the Supreme Court justice. But so it's kind of like if they could have pulled that off without and making it fair or what have you, because I was reading up on the New Orleans Fire Department. No Saint probably remembers this. So No Saint, fill in the gaps if I get something wrong or add more detail. They had a promotion test to captain. And so they had the test And make this long story short, the fire department chief basically went through and he, instead of taking the top, say they had like 8 positions, they took the top 8, which is what they typically do. He went and picked, like, because they changed some rules around, he went and picked people mostly that scored on the bottom and that, you know, they happen to be minorities and put them in. And so a bunch of the firefighters that got passed over, sued, and stuff like that. And the long and the short of it, the people who got promoted, the long and the short of it is they stayed. The ones that got promoted got to stay in their promotions, but there was like quite a few that just basically got screwed over. So it's kind of like where it's that real, you know, how do you slice that? How do you cut that? How do you slice that baby? You know, the wisdom of Solomon thing, where you're trying to really address a historic problem that's been there. You're trying to make up for it.
Well, okay.
What's the question? What's the question, George?
I have another question.
Okay, go.
All right. So this is for anyone who thinks that reparations still needs to be in place, right? I mean, not reparations, affirmative action still needs to be in place. Is there a cutoff date for that? Is there like, okay, after this point, we no longer need it, or forever we need a hand, like a leg up, or forever we're going to need to be treated as a sub culture, even though we're on par with everyone else with the amount of millionaires that everyone else has. But so how long are we going to need that? Or do we no longer need that? Like, is there a time where we like, no, we can stand on our own? Is that the time now? Or?
Well, I wanted to ask Haran if he can get it together, because he said no right away when I said affirmative action still necessary, yay or nay. So I wanted to hear his thoughts on that, because I have the same question you have, Lily, for how long, if it still has to be in place, for how long?
Yeah,
because there comes a point, really quickly, George, there comes a point where, you know, when someone is rehabbing from an accident, there comes a point where they no longer need that crutch, or you just cripple them for life, right? Because in their mind, then they always need the crutch. If you tell them, hey, you always gonna need that crutch, then they're always gonna use that crutch, right? So, I mean, there is such a thing as too much help. There is such a thing. I know the emphasis is usually on not enough help or no help at all, but there is such a thing as enabling. There is such a thing. And I think in these conversations, that's never brought up. The enabling is never brought up.
So I think George's story is a pretty good point. Listen, the departments I work in, it's federal. People can get in the door. But any promotion can be finagled. And every promotion we ever have, there's someone complaining that it was finagled, right? Because you can, you can make a criteria and pick who you want. If you have a target person, you can do you can do all the interviews you want and all that. And then at the end of the day, oh, he beat you. He had a little bit more over here, you know? I mean, so, and what you're saying is a perfect example. So if you're saying that there's a guy that picked from the bottom, that is a perfect example. There's a lot of and when you come to outside departments, city departments, there is a lot of nepotism that goes on in there too. A lot. So to me, that's a perfect example of why why affirmative action is still needed, because that kind of stuff goes on just in a fire department, and you know it goes on in businesses as well. And school admissions, who knows? But if you're gonna get rid.
Okay, what about when Black people do it?
What about it? What?
Nepotism. What about when Black people practice nepotism? What about that? Is that fair?
No. Well, are we talking about like you're hiring your brother, or are we talking about you just, you know?
The same nepotism that you're talking about
no,
in the fire department.
If it's against if it's against laws, then it's not fair.
Okay, let's concentrate on what you specifically were talking about. Let's
not
go anywhere else.
It's not the fire department thing.
Okay, yeah. The nepotism in the fire department, right? You're saying things like that is why affirmative action is still needed, right? Because it's unfair to Black people. right? Someone in the fire department would pass it down to their son before they would hire a Black person. That's why affirmative action is still needed to help Black people, right?
Or yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
so when Black people practice nepotism, is that unfair? Is that
Yes.
unfair?
Yes, if you're talking about just hiring straight off of just because, then yeah. If
Right.
someone,
So then, but, do you think a Black person that owns a business is going to hire somebody off the street, or they're going to hire their son first?
oh, they're gonna hire. Yeah, they're gonna hire their son
They're going to hire their
first.
son first,
Yeah.
right? So to me, there's no harm, no foul. Anyone who is in power and places themselves in power, in my opinion, I don't have a problem with nepotism. I would fucking do it. I think it'd be stupid for people not to do it. It makes sense to me. So to me, all is fair, right? Now, if you're not in a position to practice nepotism, why the fuck is that my fault if I can? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Because then it becomes an entitlement. You feel like I shouldn't give this job to my daughter because you feel like the government gave you the short end of the stick, but then I'm looking at someone who looks just like you and they're a millionaire who comes from the same area and they're a millionaire. So you understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like, what the fuck does your lack of power have to do with I fucking gain power? What does that have to do with me? Like, I don't have a problem with nepotism. I really don't. I really don't.
It's kind of to be expected. Like it goes back to the whole self-preservation thing. People are looking out for their best interests and the best interests of their family. And it's about everyone's, especially if they have children, is concentrating on, are my children going to be taken care of when I'm gone, my grandchildren. They're not thinking about your grandchildren. They're thinking about theirs.
Right.
And
I
trust as well. I think trust is a factor as well.
Family member, you're most likely hiring your friend. So what are we talking about here? Like, you're gonna go with the person who you know, even if the other
trust.
guy's more even if the other guy is more competent. You know
Yeah.
John.
And I mean, that can be true. It can also be true that you could fire that person if they're not doing a good enough job and they're not making you the same amount of money as someone who's more qualified. I mean, that could be true too. I get what you're saying. It can help you get your foot in the door for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but we all here's my confusion. Like, we all do that. Like, you have 3 babies. If you was in a position to hire them to something, you're not going to get some Joe Schmo off the street because you have a good heart.
No, you're right. That's true. But
in the best position to win.
But that's So we're talking very personal, right? And then we're talking, I'm going to hire this guy because he's white, or I'm going to hire this guy because he's Black, over someone who's, who may be more qualified.
You don't think that's personal as well?
I mean, if you don't know the person, if it's just like there's a stack of applications and, and you're just looking, oh, this guy's white, let me just hire him. Yeah, he's less qualified than this other guy. You don't even know him though. You haven't seen, you know what I'm saying? You don't know him, but you're going to hire him because he's white or Black, whatever way you want to go with it.
Haran, you said, when I said affirmative action, you said no right away. Why?
Never been a fan of it. I mean, I understand the intention of it, but in many ways, I see it as another form of enabling.
Okay, that's funny because that's what I was talking about earlier. There is such a thing as enabling. Do you think that liberals infantilize Black people?
Absolutely.
Lily, do you?
Yes, I actually just had this conversation with someone prior to the show. I was trying to find a Black conservative, and I found one, but he kind of flipped. So
he's no longer a conservative.
He's denounced it. But we were talking about the danger of the liberal party as well, because of just a lot of the talking points and then the enabling and the, like, it's just, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's very passive aggressive. Like, oh, you all will not be all right without us. I mean, wow, I'm so glad we were here to help you all. What would you have done if we didn't give you this? What would you have done if we didn't give you that? Right? It gives that type of vibe off a lot. And it's gotten to the point now, and then with a lot of black people, it's like this zombie, like to the voting polls, like blue no matter who, blue no matter who. Like it's just such a weird situation to me. That has been created. As a person who has no dog, like I just don't have no emotional ties to politics, and just sitting back and watching it all, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Is that your friend, No Saint? Mr. and Mrs. Sap? Is that your friend? Oh, they want to come up?
I think you're
We can't
muted,
hear
No
you.
Saint.
We can't hear
I
you.
think you're muted.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they want to come up.
Oh, okay. All right. So before we go, I did want to my feeling on the whole black conservative versus white liberal. My thing is that I think it's a human thing, right? I don't think this is so much race specific, but I think white people come from a space where they feel like even if it's covert, even if it's subconscious or whatever, they live in a white world, right? That has an effect on you. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how liberal you are. You walk the earth knowing that you are the population. You walk the earth knowing that the government is disproportionately your color, your race, right? You walk the earth knowing that the media houses, the news, the music, it's all predominantly white. There's no way on earth that can't have an effect on you. I don't care how fucking liberal you think you are. So with that said, that is in your psyche. With that, just as the opposite way, we're affected because all our lives we grow up seeing not ourselves, right, on TV. We're just getting the first black mermaid, the first black Batman. That shit is still going on, right, in 2023. So I'm just saying, if you keep it 100, in my opinion, liberals aren't as liberal as they think they are. You nudge them a little bit and they get on code, right? You nudge them a little, you piss them off enough, and they will get on code and remind you that they're white, right? So this is why I'm with Iran. I am against the whole affirmative action. I'm against the whole, let's get our right, especially when it's being argued by white people, because the more people help you, now this isn't race specific, the more people help you, right? The more they think they have ownership to what the fuck you're supposed to do with that help. Okay, it's no different than getting a dog off the street. That motherfucker bites you, the first thing you're gonna say is, bitch, I got you from the fucking street. I'm sending you back out to that's a human thing. We do it with our kids. My fucking roof, my fucking rules, okay? And white people become authoritarian, all right, when they're constantly helping those poor disenfranchised people. Now, white liberals will deny it. Oh no, I see them as equal, and that's why I'm helping. Bull fucking shit. I can nudge you with a couple of words, and you will get on code like this. I've seen it happen. I've done it. I've even done it on purpose. So that's my issue with the white liberal being the heroes of black people. So if I had a choice to vote, I'd be on the black conservative side each and every time. Now, before we get out of here, I got one last hot button question, okay? Welfare. Did it break up the black family or nah? Welfare. Did it break up the black family or not? Remember the black baby daddies, the fathers.
Where's
Who's
that sound
thumping?
coming
Who's
from?
thumping? Stop thumping. Thank you. Thank you. Remember the black father and the black husband. The only way that the black mothers can get welfare money was if the man was out of the house. Do you think that was some real manipulative shit to break up the black family? Why not just give the whole black family money? Why did the father have to be out the house? And that'll be our last question.
Well, I have something to say to that. That's always a weird situation. How many motherfuckers we know on welfare today, right now, with a dude laid up in the bed? And we all know when they come for inspection, what they do. You gotta go because they come in a day for inspection. You can come
True.
back afterwards,
True,
right?
true.
So if you want somebody in the home without them knowing, they will be in the home. I don't think it was that.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Okay. Did you hear the question, Brother Ish?
Yeah, is welfare, did it do damage to the black family?
Did it break up the black home? Did it break up the black home, them saying, we'll give you money, but you can't have a man in the house?
Absolutely. I mean, you just watch the movie Claudine. They made movies about it. Like,
I know,
what are you talking about?
I know they made movies about it, but they made movies about aliens too. Doesn't mean aliens are real. I'm asking you, do you think that welfare broke up the Black family? Did you not think it was common sense? Let's say, I'm just being devil's advocate. Do you not think that it's common sense, right? That anyone helping somebody would say, if you got a fucking man in the house, we're not fucking helping you, right? I know parents do that. Parents do that with their daughters. Why the fuck am I giving you money if you have a whole husband? What the fuck is going on? And then we're more inclined to help our children if they don't have a spouse, right? But when they have a spouse and they ask us for money, we're like, you got a whole fucking man in the house. I think that's what the government did. Are you saying that they purposely broke up the Black family by offering Black women this money? Long
I
as they
think
didn't
that
have a man in the house.
purposely, yes. Is there a principle of what you're saying? I agree with that point. That principle definitely is a solid position. If you have a male in the house, but I think what was not taken into account was, let's look at the conditions of the family itself,
Mm-hmm.
and look at what is needed and address that dynamic versus, add male and mix, and you got a fully functional home, but you have a dysfunctional man, so you really don't have a man in the house. You have a big boy in the house. So I mean, there's the dynamics to it that I think can be individualized versus there being the slide rule of saying this disqualifies you from receiving revenue. And what it forced was a certain mentality of, let me hide this man, let me not get serious with a man, let me not make these men accountable, because I can get this money over here. Mm-hmm. So if we eliminated that manipulation of the system, then I think that it would have changed the whole condition. So I think there's two things are true.
So you're saying, when you say, let me not hold this man accountable, are you talking about Black women?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's an aspect to the Black community where, Black women, the aspect of trying to hold a man accountable for his responsibilities is the key dynamic that needs to be collectively enforced on another level. That other men should also hold men accountable, and that dynamic is not there. I think that there's this dodging the bullet. Oh, well, man, you missed it. She ain't, you ain't got to pay her no more. And you can, that's a considered acceptable option. Mm-hmm. Versus you being run out the community, or strung up or whatever for not only accepting your responsibilities.
So Sarah C made a great statement. If food stamps can replace a man, that man is basura.
Oh, wow.
Basura? What do you mean?
Garbage. That means garbage.
Oh,
trash,
okay.
Rubbish, trash.
If food stamps can replace a man, that man is garbage.
Because they don't give a lot of food stamps now.
That was going to be my point. That was going to be my point. Is it that they're saying you can't have a man in a house, or are they saying that if a man in a house is, because I looked into the poverty level to get food stamps or anything like that, and I was like, how in the hell is anybody living off of that amount of money? Right. It is so low. So I'm curious, is it the man's in the house is bringing the income up where you couldn't get the welfare, and so you're kicking them out for that reason? I don't know how people live off of the amount of money I saw for the poverty line. You're wondering if the crazy.
If you're wondering if the food stamps out, like the amount is greater than what a man could bring in with even just a low paying job.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm wondering if like, if you have a man in the house and he obviously they're going to say, okay, how much does he make? And that's going to push you over the line to be able to get any kind of welfare, because I saw how low what they want you to be making to get any assistance, and how anybody is living with kids off of that is beyond me.
Okay, so no saying the way you handle that situation. Okay, this is me. I'm in the welfare office. Okay, you're the welfare guy. Is there a man living in a home? No. that simple.
I understand that. What I'm saying is when people say, no, I understand what you're saying. What I'm asking is they're saying, well, welfare is forcing the man out of the house. It's breaking up the family. And so I'm saying, is that because if you had a man in there, you wouldn't get welfare? I mean,
Well, that's what they're trying to say. Like, if you claim that the man, if you report that the man is living there, and then once you say yes, now it's going to be another series of questions. Well, how much does he make? We need his tax returns and la la la. Then that will get you disqualified. Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds like a choice then. A choice that you're kicking the man out the house.
There you go.
Right, because all you got to do is just say he's not there.
Exactly. Like they do now.
And now you've got 3 incomes. Right. You got from the government and then the 2 adults that are living in the home.
Yeah, but now you're not always having what some of the issues are. Some of these women need based upon the number of children or the circumstances to stay at home, rear these children, and they can't go out and work for whatever circumstances, or they don't have the option for a good, safe option for childcare. So the efforts is to get this money to offset being home with your children, to raise them, to ensure that they're in a safer environment, that they're being governed properly. And that aspect is why a lot of times women are going for the welfare. And then if you have a man in the house, they're like, well, then he needs to be working 3 jobs. And, you know, not everybody is doing that. You know, I won't make excuses for anyone.
Okay, so then here's the thing. Basically, if you're choosing, because again, it goes back to choice. If you're choosing to have multiple children that you can't afford on your own or with your husband, and the government steps in and says, hey, our money, this is what we're going to give you. This is what I need you to do in that house, though. Then why are people mad? That's what I don't understand.
And then come back again with another child a few years later.
Because that's the same thing I said about, you know, the liberals. Once they think they're helping you, they think they could control you.
Absolutely,
it's the
because
same
they don't
thing.
think you're mature. You're because you're then behaving. You're functioning as their child. Because
Exactly.
that's what's happening. Is is mommy government is not giving you money to, you know, and so if we're giving you money, then we dictate, you know, your actions, your movements, what you can or cannot do. You got to go to school. You got to do all these things to empower yourself as
you're dependent.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Please hit that like for me, people. Hi, how are you? I'm glad you're here, lurking in. Hey, James, how are you? So if we're taking that into account, then why do we hear redundantly? Why do we hear redundantly the government is out to get us with this welfare? No one told you to have all those babies, and nobody has told you to apply for welfare.
I agree. And that aspect of it is why, you know, in the nation we're against welfare. We say farewell to welfare.
Okay, I'm with that.
And I like Omar Vegatron's comment. He says, "Mommy government gives the banks money, and we see what it does for them. It creates a situation where they're constantly enabled, and they continue making the same mistakes over and over. And then they come back for, can I get another bailout, mommy government? Yeah, we fucked the last one up again. I'm sorry. You know, it's the same exact thing. The banks and the people on welfare, they do the same thing because they come back with another baby. Hey, I know I couldn't afford the last one. Hey, but I'm back again. Just had another baby. Need a little bit more money. It's the same. It's an enabling.
George, but you know, let me say that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Jen, I'd like to blame it on the Democrats for 600. You know, so seriously, it was the way they structured welfare. The way they structured welfare, you know, and I think you guys will agree with this. It created a cycle of dependency, and it also created a great voter block. So in other words, you're getting this money from them. And so, you know, I'm not saying if the Republicans had done it, they would have, if they could have done it, they would have done it too. So, but it's just, I think the way it was structured, it incentivized behavior that was just absolutely counterproductive for everybody involved. Just the way it was done.
Black Lexicon says it was freedom from the benefits of being a high value man.
But let's not. But I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is going off on a tangent or not. But let's make it clear that the welfare in this country on the budget, the federal budget, is tiny. It's tiny compared to the military budget, compared to Medicaid, compared to almost anything else. Not just that, but the corporate welfare is far more expensive than helping out people that and let's make this clear, because it's not helping out Black people, it's helping mostly out white people, because white people by far are on welfare more than Black people.
Yeah, they are. What's funny is that though, and this is why I laugh when it's funny that you say that, No Saint, because when you look online, the argument is usually the welfare queen, and the welfare queen is either Black or Latin, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and that was made up by, I'm sorry, that was made up by Georgia's hero, Ronald Reagan, and it's an absolute lie. There is no welfare queen driving around in a Cadillac. That was
there is. She's white,
lie.
though.
But it's a lie. It's what I'm saying is it was an absolute fabrication.
Wait, so clear this up for me. It's indefinite. It's an indefinite. So if you go on welfare, you can essentially just stay on it.
No. If you make more money, they'll kick you off of it.
But no. Essentially, yes,
like,
Justin. Yes, essentially, yes.
Change,
yes,
you can be on welfare indefinitely.
And you could pass your shit. Like here in New York, people pass their project apartments. They inherit the project apartments from their family. So you have generation after generation that live in the same project apartment. Yes.
Wow.
That's different. That's something different. That's Section 8.
That's nepotism.
But if you lose your job, right, and you're like benefits for a little bit, and it stops after a while, right? And it's sort of like, okay, you got to go get another job, and that pressure of knowing like, oh shit, in a month or 2 months or 3 weeks or however long you've got that unemployment, like that's gonna stop, and that's the incentive to like, oh shit, I have to do something about this, or I'm gonna be living on the street. That's what happened to me a while ago. But
listen, that's nepotism for poor people.
Yeah, listen. I only had to try to file for unemployment one time, and I was like, who can wait for it? I'm like, I don't have time to wait for you to. I'm going to be starving if I wait these 2 months for you to give me a pence.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would say that, the unemployment benefits is something that you pay into. Welfare is not. In relationship to, like the welfare scenario where it's being carried on generationally, I think, that's a similar but dissimilar circumstance when you're talking about getting money, because you don't always get Section 8 or get an apartment, but there is a perpetual behavior that does come from it. So but there's also other aspects of where it does help people, where, for instance, WIC allows mothers and young mothers to be able to get food and like real food, not just like buying Snickers and Apple Jacks, but actually you can only buy, green groceries and lettuce and vegetables and cheese. Well, not just cheese. Cheese is not a factor any longer. That's
Listen, I had WIC, and it was a lot of cheese. I had WIC when I was in the military. They gave it, believe it or not, they qualified for it. It was a lot of cheese.
Yeah, I mean, but now, I know that I received WIC because, I'm a single father with my daughter, at least I was. And we, it helped. It was beneficial. I was able to, get a whole bag full of groceries, last a whole month, and I could cook and do things and then still be able to work and, take care of certain responsibilities. But as a single parent, that was very beneficial. Like it just allowed me to kind of get my foot back up.
But Ish, what's the difference between WIC and welfare? If the NOI says, what'd you say? Farewell to welfare?
Farewell to welfare.
What's the difference? Isn't that the same? It's still.
It was allotted to me. It wasn't something that I necessarily applied for, but because I was a single father, they gave it to me. It was kind of imposed.
Listen, I'll say one difference, or at least in my opinion, is like WIC is that's like food for babies. That is food for
Right.
babies. And to me, I pay taxes like everybody else. And if there are babies that are under the poverty line, it's no fault of their own. And if my tax dollars go to help feeding babies that are below the poverty line, then I don't have a problem with it, considering that my taxes go to a lot of things that I don't necessarily want them to go to all the time. That's just the country we live in. Your taxes are going to go to things that you don't necessarily want them to go to.
All kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of things, not just welfare, all kinds of things. However, it's easy to get people, it's easy to get the crabs fighting each other if you make this crab think that crab is the problem when it's really the fisherman that put you in the bucket. He's really the problem, but it's like that crab is really your issue. You're like, I'm a crab too, yeah, but that crab wants your food. Thank you for the last super chat of the night. Fahim Jackson says, benefits are not just giving money. The package value exceed that of what most men earn, meaning housing, food stamps, transportation has a monetary value. That is more than what most men earn. Do you think this country should be helping its citizens at every turn, being that, the economy, the price for food now? I went to the supermarket the other day, like $35 for 2 steaks? What the fuck? I'm not even in the restaurant. This is raw. I got to take it home and cook it. Do you think that this government should be helping out every way they can? Because I'm like, I go shopping sometimes. I'm like, these motherfuckers want us to be rich.
Well, at this point, Jen, they're going to have to. That's why they keep buzzing with the universal basic income. Like at some point, the way that if we keep going in the direction that we're going, like people are just not going to be able to afford regular shit. I mean, you're right, Jen. I'm single, living in New York City, for God's sake. We're not okay. Okay. So yeah, it's crazy out here. Like just going to the grocery store is such an anxiety for me, because I'm just like, this is crazy how little I can get. The food in New York was already super expensive. And Justin can tell you this. It was already super expensive before COVID, before inflation. Now after COVID went up. After inflation, it is unaffordable at this point. It's ridiculous.
Listen, anybody who shops at Whole Foods is high value now. It's like, you see Whole Foods bags, you're like, all right, that's the guy I want to get with. He goes to Whole Foods.
No, they're just putting themselves in debt.
$35 for a head of lettuce? Oh, you idiot. All right, guys, that's our show for tonight. Again, thank you immensely for your patience at the beginning. That guy was a lot to deal with. Thank you so much for everyone for holding your heads and keeping it down. Everyone that comes up here is not going to be easy to deal with, and that's fine. This is the block. We can handle it. But I just want to extend a thank you, because he came in, big guns blazing. George, you handled that very well. You were being accused of being the wrong person entirely. Okay. And
I was waiting for the music. I was like, this dude is really on one.
Yeah, but this is the block, and if you're on any New York City block, these are the characters in the neighborhood. Right. So I guess we appreciate him some kind of way. I just love how men think when women have sex, they're the ones getting pounded out, like we're not enjoying the sex. I thought that was funny. You get pounded out, as if I'm laying there doing nothing, as if I'm laying there not ruining this man's life forever, right? But whatever, you gotta let people do what they do, and it's fine. Again, I just know I can deal with certain people. I don't know how other people take to certain people, so I just want to extend that thank you. Everyone held their head. Thank you,
Jen. About what he was saying to me in the beginning, I was thinking about it and laughing to myself. I was like, you know what? He probably took one look at me. And no saying, he said, and probably he thought to himself, "You seen one white cracker, you've seen them all." So he said, that was really funny. It really was funny, especially the way how far he went with it and everything.
Right.
He was out the park. What I found interesting though was the flip flop. Like the longer he talked, the longer he sounded like a liberal. I was like, so now it's the Jewish people's fault. And again, I got no beef with the Jewish people because I have no beef with power. Okay. My dad was a powerful man. Wasn't nobody going in his house saying shit about shit in that house. So I understand power. I understand if you have it and other people don't, the people that don't are going to be mad that you have it. So don't get mad. Go get you some power. And I'll end it there. I'll end it there.
Yeah, I just want to clean some stuff up as far as, and this isn't, I'm not aiming daggers at what Lily said. I'm just saying I've heard it before, and I think it's some misinformation out there. So yeah, they gave Hawaii per person $700. That's the same thing they gave us when Ida came through. It's for like water, food, shortage of stuff. It's not completed yet. They are going to go back and assess and give money to people. The FEMA is, but it doesn't come automatically because I had to apply for certain things. It takes time. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And 75 billion has been going to the Ukraine. We'll see how much Maui costs, but Maui is much smaller, and we'll see what it costs.
I just want to say I identify as trans Ukrainian, so if they want to send anything this way, I'll take it.
Thank you, On Point. I will say this, the $700 to Maui is an absolute ludicrous amount of money. Their homes were obliterated down to ashes. This isn't our lights were out, our food is ruined, we haven't had water in a week. Obliterated. These people went home to find their dogs and their family members huddled up in a pile of ash. So $700 per home is absolutely fucking comedy. Okay.
And that's
absolutely
one grocery
disgusting.
bill. That's one grocery bill in Hawaii.
And it's even more disgusting because, like you said, no, St. Maui is little. It is little.
Yeah.
So
right. It's going to get, it'll get more, it will get more money. I'm sure, like, if they have to stay at hotels, because I know how it works, is I went through it. They're going to get receipts for the hotels, get reimbursed for the hotels. But nothing's going to come fast when it comes to the federal government giving out money.
Receipts and reimbursement. Do you understand the homeless population of Hawaii, actual Hawaiians? So that's saying that that's assuming that they already have the money to spend to get into a hotel. That's why it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're saying that they're homeless? Wait, you're saying they were homeless before?
There were a lot of
I'm sure because they're everywhere. Yeah,
but Hawaii, they've been pushing the natives out like crazy. They've been pricing them out of their own land, their own home. So they were already in dire straits, the natives in Hawaii, right? And so they don't have the money to just go put up for a hotel. And then Hawaii is so expensive. So just what I was complaining about New York, you can times that by whatever because it is
Hawaii's
super expensive. Yeah, so $700 is a grocery bill. It's one trip to the grocery store for them.
Yeah, it's sad as
fuck. And there's no grocery store, so
it's sad as fuck. All right, guys, so we are out of here. Woo, this was a crazy week, honey. All right, please meet us back on Monday. We got some more spicy. I already got something cooking for Monday. That'll be good for Monday. It was not good for tonight. Hit that like and subscribe for Mama. If it was your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy. Yeah, it gets crazy here sometimes. Everybody's welcome over here. Support the show. Cash App on the Block with Jen if you're catching the replay. Again, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, thank you for holding us down. Okay, thank you for standing up and standing 10 toes down on your opinion. Whatever that was. Whatever that was. All right, guys. See you next week. Thank you. Don't forget to follow us on all social media. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Woo, Lord almighty. Shit. Hit that like and subscribe for me. Thank you. Thank you to the troll babies who stopped by today. Shout out to Star from the Star Report. Sending my love, hugs, and kisses. Now you here. All right, now. Good night. On the Block with Jen on Instagram. Good night, guys.